Hey guys, what's up? It's Alex here. Welcome back to another video. And in today's video, we're going to be looking at some more Formula 1 reject. So, you guys seem to like this series, so we're coming back with another episode. This is actually part number 8. And I'm still coming up with decent new ideas about who to include in this. So, the first person on this list is actually Luca Badoer. So, maybe the most recent Formula 1 fans probably won't recognise this name. And even if you're a fan in sort of the mid-2000 era, you might not recognise his name because his prominent time in Formula 1 was between the early 1990s, 1993 to 1999. But he did come back in 2009. But let's jump back to the start of his career because while he wasn't really the best in Formula 1, his early career wasn't too bad whatsoever. Like many people, he rose through the ranks in go-karts and the junior Formula, and then when he got to Formula 3000 in his first season, he did really well. He won the championship. He won 4 races, had 5 podiums overall, and won the championship in 1992 with 46 points. And to be fair, he beat some pretty impressive drivers in that list as well. He beat Rubens Barrichello, Jordi Genet, David Coulthard, Alan McNish, and a few other notable names to win that championship. But unfortunately, when he got to Formula 1, it wasn't exactly a success. He came to Formula 1 with the Loda BMS Scuderia Italia team. He didn't score any points in that season. He didn't score any points in his second season in 1995 with Minardi. In 40, he still didn't score any points in Minardi. In 1999, he still didn't score any points, even though he came very close to scoring points in one race. He came close to getting his first points in Formula 1, but I think with a couple of laps to go, his car failed and he broke down into tears, which was actually one of the most sort of sad moments in Formula 1, just seeing that all unfold. But you may think, oh, that's his time in Formula 1 over. No, in 2009 he came back as the Ferrari driver. Like, okay. Of course, this all came down to the Felipe Massa accident at the Hungarian Grand Prix the race prior, but for the European and Belgian Grand Prix, Luca Badoer raced for Ferrari, didn't score in either of those races, even though the car was probably capable in doing so. He was last on the road of both of those races, 17th in Europe, 14th in Belgium, the last running car in both of those races, and for the Italian Grand Prix after he was replaced. But it was a bit of a shambolic return to Formula 1 for Luca Badoer. He was a Ferrari test driver from 2000 to 2010, and he sort of hung up his boots at the end of that 2010 season where he was replaced by Jules Bianchi. And it was a big role. He spent a lot of time with Ferrari over his time, but I think he realised enough was enough. He came back and he was not very competitive. And if he came back and had that sort of nightmare, I think most people might react the same way and sort of realising enough is enough. He spent 1 year with them after as a test driver, but understandably he didn't want to push it too much further. He didn't want to keep going and going and going, where people like Jules Bianchi were coming through the ranks. Of course, very sad that we lost Jules Bianchi since, but Jules Bianchi deserved his chance at Ferrari. I think it was good that Luca Badoer sort of hung up his boots at that time. So there we are, that's Luca Badoer. Let's move on to the next person on this list. Okay, so this name was mentioned in the last comment section, and that was Mika Salo. So he was born in the mid-1960s, and he was born in Helsinki, and he competed in the British Formula 3 Championship, and he didn't do too badly in his first season, but he decided to move on and go up to Japanese Formula 3000, which is a much quicker car. He raced in that championship from 1991 to 1994. He only got 1 podium over 4 seasons, and on 2 of those seasons he only scored 1 point, and that was in 1991 and 1993. So he didn't have too much success in the championship. In 1994 that was his best result, finishing 7th overall with 6 points amassed in those only first 2 races of the season. But by the end of the 1994 season he was called upon by Team Lotus, and he joined them for the Japanese and Australian Grand Prix. He only finished 10th in Japan and retired in Australia and didn't score any points in his first season, but he was retained in Formula 1 for 1995, and at the end of the 1995 season with Tyrrell Yamaha, he actually scored some decent results, finishing 5th in Italy, 6th in Japan and 5th in Australia. And remember, back then you only scored points for top 6, so it was actually pretty impressive for him to get those results, and he got another decent amount of results in the rest of that season. He scored a top 10 on a number of occasions. His Formula 1 career continued with Tyrrell Yamaha, Arrows, BAR, and then he came to Ferrari midway through 1999 to replace the injured Michael Schumacher. In that time, he scored 2 podiums at Germany and Italy, but he wasn't retained by the Scuderia for the next season, of course, as Michael came back. In 2000, Red Bull Sauber gave Mika this opportunity to stay in Formula 1. And once again, he sort of showed he was pretty decent. He scored points on 4 occasions in a car that wasn't massively competitive. He scored 6 points overall and finished 11th place in the championship. He then had a year out in 2001 and came back in 2002 for the Toyota team, but this was his last season in Formula 1. He only scored 2 points in the first 3 races of the season, and that was his whole points for the rest of that season. The 17 race season was basically summed up in 3 races for Mika Salo, even though he did score top 10s on a number of occasions over that season. After that, he went to racing the Kart Championship, race at Le Mans, racing the GT1 World Championship, International Superstar Series, do the Bathurst 12 Hours and the V8 Supercars Championship. He did a wide range of things, including winning the 12 Hours of Bathurst in 2014. So a really impressive career in a lot of ways, but in other ways a lot of unfulfilled potential. But now Mika Salo is currently managing the SMP Racing team, and he does a bit of commentating on the side as well, I think, for Finnish TV. So he's made well out of his whole career, really. He may not have had the most success in Formula 1, but certainly he's made a career out of it for himself, and he's managed to race in a lot of different disciplines over his time in motorsport. And he's still immersing himself in the world of motorsport now, as we said, with commentating and managing the SMP Racing sort of squad. So that's Mika Salo. Let's get on to the next one. The next person on this list is Karun Chandhok. Now, as a commentator, as a pundit, he's really good, but he didn't find too much success in the world of Formula 1. He started out in Asia, winning some championships in his local regions, but he came over in 2002 to England and raced in the British Formula 3 Championship. In the second season, he came third in the national class, but he didn't have much success in the main class in 2004, where he finished 14th overall. He also did 2 races in the World Series by Nissan in that year and finished 16th. In 2005, he raced in the Formula Renault 3.5 and A1GP championships. Once again, not amassing too much success, but he came to his first major championship in 2006, where he won the Formula V6 Asia by Renault Championship, winning 7 of the 12 races. In 2007, he switched over to GP2, and he raced in that championship all the way up until 2009, but once again, he really struggled to get any sort of consistency and any sort of speed. He really only did a couple of good races, and he scored podiums on a couple of occasions, but he wasn't really that special. But somehow in 2010 he got the call up to Hispania and raced the first half of that season. Of course, that car was nowhere near good enough to score points, and he didn't score any points, but I find it very strange. I mean, looking back at this, Karun Chandhok was probably one of the biggest pay drivers in Formula 1, because his results before Formula 1 really did not match up to getting a Formula 1 seat. After his time in Formula 1, he did one race in 2011 for Team Lotus, but he went on to race in the World Endurance Championship and also do the FIA GT Series. He raced at Le Mans multiple amounts of times and also did a bit of Formula E as well. He didn't do too badly in Formula E. He didn't have the most amazing results in the world, but he did score 18 points, which isn't too bad in the 2014-15 season, but was definitely outshone by his teammate Bruno Senna. And he hadn't really had the most success in the 24 Hours of Le Mans. His best class result was 5th overall in 2015. But very nice guy, currently doing punditry for Channel 4. I assume he might be doing that continuing on into 2019. But he also does some sort of historic racing stuff for Williams as well, which is really interesting to watch out for as well. If you haven't seen the YouTube channel for Williams, he does quite a lot of stuff for them over there. So check it out on all their social media, it's quite interesting. But Karun Chandhok, probably not the greatest Formula 1 driver of all time, or definitely not the greatest Formula 1 driver of all time. He probably didn't really deserve the opportunity to race in Formula 1 looking at his past results. But as a guy, as a punditry guy, he's really nice to watch on TV. He just brings across his points really well. Actually, what am I saying? He's joined Sky for 2019. That just clocked in my mind. I apologise for that. But yeah, he's continuing on our screens in 2019, but this time for Sky, not Channel 4. But it's good to see, because his punditry skills are really good. So the last person on today's list is Heikki Kovalainen. Now, he's one of the most successful people I've put on this list as a Formula 1 reject. So, let's have a look at his career. So he started off in Formula Renault UK. That started well. He finished 4th place in his debut championship, winning 2 of the 13 races. And he also had a decent start in the Macau Grand Prix, where he finished 8th place overall. He stepped up to the British F3 Championship in 2002, finishing 3rd overall and finished 2nd at Macau. Then he went on to race in the World Series by Nissan Championship, finishing 2nd in 2003 and winning it in 2004. That's quite a big championship, equal level to GP2. Then the next year he went to finish 2nd in the inaugural GP2 championship, just behind Nico Rosberg. In that championship he won 5 of 23 races, and in 2006 he was the test driver of the Mild 7 Renault Formula 1 team. He got his opportunity in 2007 to race for the team once Fernando Alonso disappeared off to McLaren. He continued with the team for that whole season and scored a decent amount of points, 30 points and 1 podium. And then he got his big step up to McLaren in 2008, winning the Hungarian Grand Prix, but only finishing 7th place in the championship, whilst Lewis Hamilton went on to win that championship. He had a dismal 2009, and then that sort of all spiraled downwards. He had that terrible year, only scoring 22 points in 2009, where Lewis Hamilton scored many more, and he finished 12th place in that championship. He had a lot of crashes that year as well. He, of course, didn't get retained in 2010. He went to Lotus, where he continued for the rest of his time in Formula 1. Through the various name changes, he continued with them, and he also did a couple of races right at the end of his career for the Lotus Formula 1 team. I think that was when Kimi Raikkonen decided to disappear at the end of the 2013 season. He debuted in, but he didn't score any points at the end of his Formula 1 career. From 2010 to 2013, he didn't score a single point in Formula 1. In 2014, he did a bit of test driving for BMW in the DTM Championship, but ever since then, from 2015 to 2016, he's raced in Super GT in Japan. He's actually had a lot of success over there. He's racing for the Lexus team. He won the championship in 2016 and has scored a lot of podiums. Most recently, he scored 2 podiums and 1 win in the 2018 season to finish 9th place overall. But Heikki Kovalainen continuing his motorsport pedigree over in Japan. Okay, he's not winning the championship in the last couple of seasons, but he's had pretty decent results, and I think he's someone that's a big name over there in Japan. As you know, I guess they have a lot of big names in Japan, but it's a big name from Europe going over to Japan, and I think it's great to see as well that he's managing to continue his success over there. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Hopefully you did enjoy it. I really enjoy looking back into the history of Formula 1 and looking at some drivers that nearly made it in Formula 1, you know, for multiple seasons. But someone like Heikki Kovalainen was kind of given that opportunity. He didn't really take it. He tried to hang on for a couple of years, and unfortunately it didn't work out for him. Team Lotus just didn't get good at all. So then he sort of decided to go for new pastures, and he's found success in Japan, which is great for him. So that's it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you're new, and if you haven't already, please remember to check out the Kickstarter that's linked on the screen and in the description. I'd really appreciate if you can just help us out. We're closing in on our £800 goal. It's getting there, but we just need a little bit more support. If you guys can help us out, that'd be fantastic. Thank you for watching. Have a fantastic day. It's been Axel out here. Goodbye.